Good evening, everybody, to the April 7th Select Board meeting. To my left is Flo Smith, Vince Connie, to my right, Carla Nuizel.
Thank you, Joe.
I almost said you. Anyway, and Tor Nelson, and I'm Joe Stoughton. Do we have any additions or deletions?
No.
And public comments? Or are we going to wait for a specific topic?
I think most likely when we get to the Pine Hill.
Okay. Seeing no public comment, nothing from chat online. No. Fox Round update. Do we have anything or anyone to speak on that?
Nicola Anderson was going to attend. I don't see
She's
her.
not.
Who's on the lower left there, Tor? I can't see who that is.
Janet Richardson.
Janet Richardson.
Okay.
Yep. I don't see Nicolette.
Well, I
Can
could,
we circle back around, or you want to speak on it?
she accepted an invitation to. Did you respond to your invitation?
No, I thought you were setting all that up.
Alex is here. We could take Alex and maybe wait for Nicola.
Okay.
He's the next one down on.
All right, the Riverton Transit Oriented Development Update.
There's copies, a couple copies of the presentation. Put the front
Would anyone like one? I'll be.
check if you interested.
Not long. Yes, yes, I'll be glad. I'll give you this one.
Okay.
Thank you.
So a little background on this project. The Chittenden Regional Planning Commission received a grant to do some studies for transit-oriented development, transit being busing or trains like that. You know, it's mass transit. And they partnered with the Central Vermont Regional Planning Commission, who reached out to Central Vermont communities probably about 2 years ago now, if there was any appetite to join in a program. And Berlin thought that with our new Riverton Village Center designation, the Riverton, you know, the tracks go by, they don't stop there, but it goes by, and there's a bus station there. And we developed that hamlet down there, that may be a good project for Berlin. So we threw our hat into the ring. We were accepted, and Alex is here. He was SE Group was awarded the contract to develop these transit-oriented programs for various communities. I think Northfield has one, and Berlin has one in central Vermont. And so he shared in advance some slides. Does he have access to share? Or Alex, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. I'm Alex Belenz with SE Group. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, thanks for having me. We're based out of Burlington. I live in White River Junction. And like Tom said, we're doing a few of these right now with a couple different Vermont communities, looking at the transit-oriented development piece, but also just how that intersects with what these small town and village centers want to be in the coming decades. And so, yeah, happy to share more about the project tonight whenever you're ready.
I think you can go ahead.
All right. And is it helpful? I see you all have a printed packet, but it would be helpful for me to share my screen as well.
I think for those who are attending remotely, it would be helpful.
Okay, great. I will go ahead and do that.
And that's all recorded as well, right?
All right.
That'll be helpful.
Is that showing up for everyone?
It is.
Yep.
Yes, thank you.
Great. Okay. Also, my colleague Noelle is on the line tonight. Noelle is also well, she's originally from Vermont. She's based out in Utah these days, but she's from Cavendish. So we've got the Vermont team on this one.
Hiya.
All right. So just a little background. I'm basically going to do, I think we have about a 10-minute presentation here. Speed run through work that's really commenced last summer. So it started with just trying to get the lay of the land in Riverton, understand what the existing conditions are, look at the current patterns of land use, natural resources, environmental constraints, infrastructure, and then do a little bit of goal setting with the Planning Commission. Think about what the vision was at the time when you were doing the village center designation and the work that's happened since, and how this intersects with this notion of transit-oriented development with people living along transit lines and how that can both sustain the transit service and also be a benefit to the folks who are living there. But ultimately, at the end of the day, we're thinking about how does this process support future community and economic development in the Riverton hamlet. We went through a whole process of identifying objectives for this, but to summarize them briefly, we're thinking about how do we improve housing options, how do we improve the pedestrian experience and pedestrian safety in this area. There's an interesting recreational nexus here with the proximity to the river and the town forest and the state forest. And how does all of that roll up to just kind of support a vibrant community in this area where it's an exciting and fun place to live. So our study area, we're focused on that village center designation area, which is outlined on your slide on that map there in white, but also looking a little bit around the periphery of that. There's a bill that passed last year that's changing the way that those designated area programs are working in the state, and that's rolled up into how Act 250 is being updated. So those boundaries are actually kind of being renegotiated with the Regional Planning Commission. So we're not looking at the very rigid boundaries right now, but it is kind of centering us for this work. We are thinking about Riverton in terms of either side of the river and what the different existing conditions are in that area. So on the east side of the river, that's your more historic hamlet and residential center that we're calling Riverton East. So that's got a mix and a little more of a cluster of single-family homes and some multifamily homes. And that's where the work on developing the Riverton community wastewater system has focused, is on that Riverton East area. Riverton West is a bit different. You've got a mix of some homes and also some businesses, including Riverton Memorial, fuel transfer station. You also have the fire station there as well. There is access to the river there through a small park. So two different sets of conditions, and there hasn't been the same exploration of wastewater service potential on the west side of the river to date. So that's our study area. That was a little bit about where we're headed goal-wise. In terms of what we're delivering through this, we are preparing what we'll call a kind of a hamlet master plan. So that'll be a comprehensive plan for the area. We want to think about the different roles that the town plays in guiding growth and development in that area. So we think about land use regulations, infrastructure, that could be roads, that could be sidewalks, that could be wastewater. We talked about the recreation piece. I think that's really important. And what are some kind of policy and financial tools as well? If they really want to lean in on planning for the future here, what else could be brought to the table to make things happen for this community? So where we're at in the process, we spent some time analyzing what we call existing conditions in the area, like I mentioned before. That did include a site visit. And as part of that, we did do a small kind of pop-up event for Riverton residents at right around the time Fieldstone Pizza was opening. So we were able to get out and talk to some folks and hear about their hopes and fears for the future of Riverton. We spent some time with the Planning Commission identifying community development objectives for Riverton. We've been meeting with them about once a month throughout this process. We've been doing a little bit of exploration of future development scenarios. What does it look like if Riverton were to attract development in the future? How could that be done in a thoughtful way? And some planning and recommendations. So we're starting to think about what are those tools and policy levers that the town could pull to make things happen or guide development. A couple things that are coming up is a community open house that we're having 1 month from today. We hope to have that earlier on in the process, but we were delayed a little bit by some of the uncertainty around federal funding that's come in with the new administration. So we were on pause for about 6 weeks over the winter. And in the recent weeks, we've been kind of getting restarted. So we had hoped to have that event last month, but now it's happening early May. We're going to, following the feedback we receive at that event, we'll start to refine some of our concepts and some of our planning recommendations and continue to work with Tom and Central Vermont Planning Commission and the Berlin Planning Commission to identify those strategies that would guide where we want to go in terms of future development and community outcomes in Riverton. So we did put this board up at the open house, and we had a lot of good conversations with folks. And kind of the general takeaway was that people were excited about this process. They're excited to just see kind of a new look at Riverton. They were excited that Fieldstone Pizza is going in. That was kind of one of the first new actual changes and new developments in Riverton in quite some time. And so, that was kind of seen as maybe a stepping stone to bigger and better things for the community. All right, so to drill down into some of our findings to date, on the east side of the river, based on our assessment of current land use, of market conditions, and development potential, we do think there's potential for this area to accommodate some new homes that are mostly in line with kind of the historical development patterns. We're talking about kind of clustered single-family homes, accessory dwellings, and small-scale multifamily buildings. So triplexes, fourplexes, things of that nature. That can be supported in part due to the planned wastewater system. So right now it's definitely bumping up against what you can do in terms of septic and density on there. But with that system in place, we think there's potential to think about 10, 15, 20, maybe 30 new homes in a aspirational scenario that could go in there. All that depends on what folks want to do with their property, obviously. But there's certainly potential. Riverton is 15-minute drive from downtown Montpelier. It's definitely in that commute shed. So we think the housing demand could certainly be pretty strong. Opportunity potentially for additional businesses. We don't think the commercial development demand is nearly as strong for this area, but if you were to have kind of a greater critical mass of people living in that village, maybe there's a potential for more local serving businesses that could also serve as gathering spaces for the community. So it's an interesting thing to think about what could come down the pipe in that regard. We did mention recreational access on the east side of the river, thinking about connections to the town forest and the state forest system, thinking about establishing a trailhead for that community that could go up into that forest is an exciting possibility. We mentioned the wastewater system that's continued to advance through different levels of planning and initial approvals. So that's exciting to see. And obviously it's critical to kind of all of the above. Then there's the pedestrian improvement piece. So right now there's not much in the way of pedestrian facilities, and we're exploring some options for how that could be improved through future investments or developments that might come in the area. On the west side, definitely more kind of constraints to thinking about infill development, village style development. You have just the pattern of existing land uses. You have the railroad corridor that's kind of a barrier, some more issues with topography. So it's certainly a different set of conditions there, and we'll see in a second how that's thought about what we could do for future development. There is some land there that could be suitable for a larger residential development that would bring in a greater number of new homes if that's amenable to the community and to landowners. Certainly something that further planning and coordination would be needed for, and probably would need to be supported by some sort of wastewater system if you're thinking about anything at scale. So that's something that we'll look at through the planning process, is not to go ahead and kind of pre-approve any sort of development, but what are some of the next steps that could be taken to evaluate those kinds of considerations and potential infrastructure investments. Also, some good recreation connections on this side. There is the existing river access and picnic area. There is the fire station, and our understanding is that that is not being heavily used and is a potential to be used for something different. So we'll talk about a little bit more about that in a second. And then the pedestrian connectivity piece, really we're thinking about that east-west connection as being really important here. So the current sidewalk that's going across the bridge that may be going away, that's a critical kind of connection to think about uniting Riverton from west to east. But there's also kind of the connections along Route 12 that are important as well, that would connect that to potential future residential developments. So thought about all those different opportunities, and we wanted to think about what that might actually look like on the ground. So that's the purpose of going through this exercise, which is intended to just kind of visualize a potential future development scenario. So say you were successful in putting in wastewater, you updated some zoning bylaws, there was some landowners that wanted to do something with their property. Here's maybe what could come in that might align nicely with the goals for Riverton and the historical development pattern. So on the east side, we're seeing opportunities for some infill on some of the larger lots here. So those larger lots that could be subdivided and could accommodate a single family home, a triplex, an accessory dwelling. Maybe a little bit more ambitiously, there's some potential for some new driveways to be established that might open up some other development locations on some of the more flatter terrain on the east side of the river. And connecting all of that is what we would see as kind of the ideal pedestrian network in terms of new sidewalks. So sidewalks are a big investment. They have to be done thoughtfully and with consideration to the future cost for maintaining those, both for snow removal and maintaining the infrastructure itself. But in terms of supporting kind of a village style living experience, we do see them as important infrastructure. So we want to lay out some steps and some strategies for how that could be thought about and evaluated in terms of a cost benefit approach. So that's our thinking on the east side. If you go on the west side, this is where we're thought a little bit more aspirationally and a little bit more ambitiously about, say you did want to accommodate a larger new development, get a decent amount of new homes in there, what could that look like? And there is some suitable terrain in there. The challenging part is how does this get connected back into kind of the rest of Riverton? So we've thought about concept of a kind of a loop neighborhood with a mix of housing types. It could include starter homes, could include larger or mid-sized multifamily buildings. How could you create kind of a shared community space in a neighborhood like that? So we've looked at the idea of a kind of a community green that would go in there, and then as well as the pedestrian connections that would bring that back up to Route 12. And we see the thing that really kind of unites both sides of the river as being this kind of what we call a recreational parcel in the center. So that's where you have the current fire station, the current picnic area, and the current river access. We could see potential scenarios that involve reusing that fire station for some sort of community recreational space, or potentially restoring that site into more of a kind of a park space if the building wouldn't want to be maintained. But that could be a really useful hub, both as kind of a passive gathering space for the community, as well as an event space that could kind of bring people out from both sides of the river. So that's just it's an exercise you go through to just kind of understand what you might look at in the future and see if that's where you want to go. And so part of our next steps when we do our open house is to get people's feedback on this. Is like, is this what you envision when you think about kind of the next phase of Riverton? Is this what you want in your community? And we'll hear it. I think we'll get both perspectives on that and see where we land. It'll be really interesting to get folks' feedback on it. So,
Thank you, Alex.
yes, I got one more slide and then I'm done, but I'm happy to take a question. Yeah, either way, I can take it now or I can keep going.
Can I just quickly ask, I know it's aspirational, but how many units of housing is on this plan?
So it depends on how it's
New units.
programmed. Yeah, it depends on how it's programmed. I think if on the east side of the river, we could see that as being probably 10 to 25 units. On the west side of the river, and again, it depends how you program it. It could be a couple dozen units. It could be maybe even up to 100 units.
Wow, great,
A
thanks.
lot of unknowns over there, especially we don't know anything about the wastewater situation.
Gotcha.
All right, so last slide, just circling back to, at the end of the day, what are the kind of tools that the town wants to employ to guide what this looks like in the future? So we are looking at land use regulations. That's kind of the main one, the traditional tool that you would use, thinking about density standards, what types of land uses are permitted. How do you thoughtfully guide future development through that development process in line with what the community wants to see? The infrastructure piece, this is where it gets a little bit more in kind of the investment side of things. So that's already happening on the east side of the river with that wastewater project. There could be studies for wastewater on the west side. And like we mentioned, there's the pedestrian network. How much of an investment is the community willing or able to make in creating a better and safer pedestrian experience? And how could future development help potentially fund that through things like impact fees or other financial tools? So those are things that we're starting to chew on with the Planning Commission. We'll get feedback at the open house event that will really shape our thinking on this. And that will inform what we want to do in terms of pulling a plan together and some recommendations. So, all right, this is the last slide. May 7th is our open house. So we're working on getting all the materials ready for that. And that'll be the next kind of touch point for the community to engage with this process. And we're super excited to see what people think of what we're up to so far and see if we're on the right track or if we need to be thinking about things a little bit differently.
And that's at the fire station?
Yes, that'll be at the fire station.
What time?
We are still working that out. We anticipate it'll be late afternoon through early evening. It'll be kind of like a come by anytime type thing. I typically like to do like between 4 and 7 p.m. But we'll see what shakes out, and we'll have those details available probably this week.
Thank you.
I know we're time limited, but what's happening with the village center designation lines?
Nothing's changed. The legislature is maybe massaging those a little bit, but for this purpose, we kept them the same. But what we have looked at is the town developed the Hamlet area, which really allowed in the town of Berlin's mind's eye pretty tight density. The SE group is looking at that and looking at even significantly more density down there. And that really stems from, it's been about a 4-year project now with the partnership with the Planning Commission and the Public Works Board to develop a municipal wastewater system down there. And it's a village wastewater system. Think of it as folks know a residential septic system. It's that on steroids. We don't have a treatment plant. We don't have none of that's involved. We'd be treating the effluent, and so we have a partner landowner down there who's been very patient with this process. Just Friday, the state clean water SRF folks approved the preliminary engineering report for Riverton. And that's just one more step in this process. And it all comes down to funding. The project somewhere between 1.5 and $2.2 million is where that project we think would land. So the residents down there can't afford,
right,
for that. And so we've been seeking grant funding. One of the sources of funding is the Clean Water State Revolving Fund at Clean Water SRF. And the communities apply every year to get on this list, and you get points for how you answer the questions and things you have going on. And Berlin is just for 4 or 5 years now, it's just been below the cutoff line of where funding is, right? And one of the big drivers of that is Berlin is a median household income is higher than the state average. And though Planning Commission believes that if there are ways to look at a community, a closer community like Riverton, and then maybe prove to the regulators that in those neighborhoods it may be reversed.
Yeah.
And so the couple steps that the Planning Commission is looking to do is to do a income survey in Riverton. And we hope to get that done in the next 2 or 3 months, assuming that comes back and paints a better chance for grant funding that we would ask the select board to, in November of this year, put on a bond ballot for the project. Having those items, the community support through a income survey and the town support through a bond vote, that just gets you more what they call at the ready points. So the project's ready to go. Once you get all the permits, you're ready to go if you have those pieces. So we believe that we can get an additional 12 points. We think at 12 points we get above the cut line, though we need to get as high as we possibly can on that cut line to get as much grant funding. So that's going to be the folks with the planning mission. They're doing the town plan is expiring this year. There's talk where what the planning mission is going to do is drill down on 5 or 6 items that in the current town plan that may have been partially done, to drill down and get those ones completed. And Riverton will probably be the top one on that list. And so you'll be hearing a good bit about this in the coming months. And so we think the planning mission thing is really an economic driver for our community. That wastewater system that we have now with the property owner, it can get us about 24 homes worth of capacity. And we think that'd be a really big, good influx for the town. It's going to take support from the planning commission and support from the select board to get this done.
Does this help at all?
It's one more piece that says, it's another planning study that says, if you go through these steps,
I didn't mean for the money, because last I knew that's why my next question was about the wastewater system, because last I knew that was either stalled or dead, so I was just wondering.
We just got it Friday.
But back when we were,
Oh, yeah, but we just got and part of it was the agency was understaffed. They got a flood of ARPA monies and federal monies, and they just, but we did receive Friday approval of our preliminary engineering report, and that just takes us to the next step. So
okay, well, I won't belabor it.
Janet Richardson online has a question.
Yeah, hi, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Very well. Thank you,
Okay.
Janet.
So I apologize if I missed it. I just noticed some discussion about the fire station. And I think, it was maybe referenced as underutilized or something to that effect. So can you just tell me what your plans would be for the fire station?
I don't think there are any. I think this is just kind of an aspirational project planning kind of conversation, Janet, but that's my answer.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like this is my pipe dream if all these pieces fell into place.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys have a different comment, but that's what my thought was, is it was just possibilities.
we're just having an open house there right now.
Yeah.
But
And you're welcome.
I did thank you, Jim.
You did.
I'm sure there would be conversations, Janet, before any reuse was approved.
And I guess I don't want to venture too far. Did that answer your question, Janet?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I don't want to venture too far off, but it's also kind of connected. The bridge on Route 12, they were redesigning that. They were going to come back with a possible sidewalk, which is important to this project.
Totally is.
And so I'm just wondering, we don't need to discuss it, but that's still.
Yeah.
Well,
Right now is up
I
in the
will
air.
give an update on it. Mr. Warnock has been looking into it, as well as Representative Donahue and Senator Perchlik. Conversations are still ongoing as far as the sidewalk. If we go back to the direction of the sidewalk, it will significantly delay the project, which V-Trans does not wants a delay at this point, but they're open to it. But our original concerns remain. Why is Berlin being asked to maintain the sidewalk when other communities in the state are not being asked to do that for similar projects? The draft, memorandum they provided us was very ambiguous as far as our responsibilities and potentially leave us onto the hook for major costly repairs in the future. That was our only reason for not going forward with the sidewalk 2 years ago. We as a board, I think, are very much 100% in favor of the sidewalk. But state should pay for it and not up to the townspeople. It's a state highway. It's in the state plans. They approach, what am I thinking of? Promoting walkability and complete streets, and why the state's also washing their hands on this project is beyond me.
Okay.
But good.
And that was
question.
putting it nicely, I think, compared to some of my other comments.
We did well.
Thank you. This is great.
Very helpful.
Thank you, Alex.
Absolutely. Thanks, everyone. Have a great night.
You too.
Thank you.
I don't see Nicola.
Nicola did join in. Did she drop off?
I'm here.
Hold on.
Hi.
Yes.
Hi,
Sorry.
Nicola.
Hi there. Sorry, everyone, about that.
No worries.
But I'm here. I figured I could provide a bit of an update on Fox Run Apartments.
Yes, please.
Great.
Great. So as you all can see, it's been under construction and it's looking really great. The siding is almost complete at this time. We are in a really great place with this project. It is on schedule, even a little bit ahead of schedule. The plan is to start leasing up the building August 1st. We're going to start promoting applications about April 15th and start accepting applications May 1st.
Great. That is great.
Yeah, so the building looks beautiful. We hope that we will schedule like a grand opening sometime in July.
Yeah, it went up quick.
Yeah, it really did. It's been it took a long time to get us here,
Yeah,
but it has
I
been
know.
like since starting construction, it has been the smoothest project ever.
Good to hear.
Nicola, can you
Yeah.
speak to the partnership with the town on this project with you guys?
Regarding like the CDBG funds.
Just the whole relationship, because I just heard you say that it was delayed for other items, but since construction, it's been going pretty good ahead of schedule. And I think that it plays a big role with how the town and Down Street Housing have helped move this project along. And I'm just hoping you could voice that opinion as well.
Yeah, I mean, there was, I think, getting to construction was difficult just with delays and hiccups with, rebuilding the road and who would be responsible for that work. Down street, that part of land being owned does not belong to Down Street. And there was definitely delays with working with the mall and just figuring out those details. And then, when we did figure out those details, there was a serious construction cost gap just with, the price of construction nowadays. But, once we were able to figure everything out and, really start construction, we've got a great construction team. The mall has been great to work with as well. It's been going very smoothly.
Great.
And the town secured a $200,000 grant it's helping these folks put in water and wastewater lines. So that's a piece that they'll be getting from the town.
Yeah.
Nicola, the application process, will that be something online, or how will potential tenants contact?
Yeah, so we'll be promoting through like Front Porch Forum, through social media, through different areas. We've got a vacancy notification list, so anyone can sign up for that now. We will send through these medias, we'll send out information. There is a an application online, and you'll be able to submit it online or submit it in person.
Very good. Because I've had a few people reach out to me, wanting information on how to apply.
Great. Yeah, if you go by April 15th, that information will be on our website.
Okay, cool.
Very nice. Thank you.
Of course.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Is there anything else on this? Okay.
No, looks good.
The EK CV broadband update.
Yes.
Kitty?
Yeah.
Hello.
Update. Wonderful.
Hi.
Good evening, everybody.
Kitty.
My name is Kitty Ufford Chase, and I am community relations manager for NEK-CV, which used to be CV Fiber and NEK Broadband, two separate CUDs. And I am here, and Jeremy Hansen is not here because he's moving to the other end of the world, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yes. I think he's gone or he's about to be gone. Anyway, I want to thank him for making this opportunity happen to give you an update. And I have two things to talk about. One is a successor to Jeremy Hansen on our governing board, because we really do need someone from Berlin. And the other one is a letter of support that we are asking for some funding that we're applying for, which is through a federal program called BEAD. I don't know if you all are familiar with it. It's one of those acronyms, Broadband Equity Access Deployment. How's that for a... Anyway, this comes from the pandemic, when the entire country kind of realized what it meant for the difference of having internet that worked at home and those who didn't, and just what a huge digital divide that was. And so part of the Inflation Reduction Act was a big pot of money to be divided across the country to help get high-speed, reliable internet to the remote areas where our regular internet service providers don't want to go because it's not profitable. Right. Okay. So that was about $42 billion. And it was divided up proportionally among all the states. And Vermont got $229 million. And it was given to the Vermont Community Broadband Board, which oversees the CUDs, but to be distributed competitively. And so they spent quite a long time figuring out how they would distribute it, how to put in all that criteria and create an application process. We have been working very hard, and we are about to turn in that application. Next Wednesday is the big deadline. And we are asking for letters of support from select boards that will be impacted by that financing. Our plan right now, as we said in the draft letter that we sent to you all, is to do 24 miles of fiber in Berlin, getting access to 180 addresses right now. So I have a copy of the letter, but I hope that it went out and that maybe you might be able to sign that. I also brought, although my printer at home is really pathetic, but there you go. This is just, and I only had 2 copies, but it just shows you the area of the green, yellow, I don't even know what color that is what is the area that we plan to fund in Berlin. So really it's the areas that don't have a lot of other options. That's our mission. And I'm happy to answer any questions and be brief.
I'll move to approve the letter, the recommendation.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Great. Yeah.
Any more discussion?
It's really good.
Congratulations.
Okay.
That easy.
And if you would sign it and then return it to
I'll send it
me.
to
And we're going to collect all the letters and turn them in with our application next week. So you don't have to send it independently to the VCBP, even though it's addressed to them. But I really hope that you can find somebody that would be willing to come on I know it's hard. We don't need anybody with technical background. When I first started in my job 2 years ago, I didn't even know what the word broadband meant. And actually part of the reason I was hired was to do that translation from all the techie stuff to the rest of us. And so I work with governing board members that are just the whole spectrum. What we look for is anybody with enthusiasm that believes in the mission of getting high-speed internet to everybody as a way to bring economic vitality to our towns and our districts. So our annual meeting is going to be May 8th. And that's the time when we usually accept and approve all the appointments that have been done by the towns that are members of the CUD. So it's not very long, it's a month. But boy, it would be really great to have anybody to work with Berlin. I would come, I would take time, I would orient them, I would be there, hold their hand, whatever they need. But we want you to have a voice at our table. You have a voice, and we need a live, warm human being, hopefully enthusiastic, to participate.
You certainly are, and that's wonderful. Thank you for all your effort.
I'm here, and you know how to get in touch with me. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Kitty.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, I'll cross my fingers and toes that someone will come out of the woodwork.
Jeremy's gonna be hard to follow.
Oh, I know.
Yes, big
Well, that's
shoes
the
to
problem.
fill.
I know that's the problem. So don't think Jeremy. Just think somebody who has some enthusiastic for the town of Berlin. Really, I could work with that. Okay.
Very nice.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Got thinking hats on.
Very nice.
Okay. Pine Hill Drive.
So,
Welcome, everyone. This is on the agenda tonight because residents on Pine Hill have come to me with their concerns. We have had stonage throw for the last few years. And once it was cleaned up, and it hasn't been since then. And, you know, there's the concern as to if we do it for one as a town, we need to look at all. But the residents are here tonight. They want to express themselves, their concerns, and they've shared pictures with us, which I don't know if all of you have seen it. It was in our board packet as well. And there was a recent incident where one property owner was clearing their land and bringing some of the stones and the grass into the road. And Tim had come by and was taking pictures and indicating that that could not happen. And if it happened again, there would likely be police presence. And so residents came to me with their concerns and shared pictures and numerous discussions. And I had a conversation with Tour, and I asked that it be on tonight's agenda so that we could have an open discussion and bring forward. And Tour had expressed to me that trying to think of the terminology, you were looking at drafting an ordinance.
well, technically these next two items are kind of flow together. I mean, I don't know what's enormous, but you know, state statute is very clear as far as depositing materials of any kind on the roadways, and the repercussions are very severe. You know, thousands of dollars in civil penalties and court costs and everything like that. I don't want to go down that route, but we do have to protect the roads at all costs. As we'll get into later, we're spending close to $2 million a year on roads. And the legislature has given the towns, you know, very direct authority over what can be done with the roads and who's authorized to do the work on the roads. And we just can't have everybody go out and, you know, raking the stones and more dangerous the biologic materials, leaves and twigs and stuff like that. So.
And I brought that forward with residents as well. And I think one of the concerns was that over time in many years, it's been raked and kind of raked out, and some of the grass and what have you added to a compost pile. This year wasn't the first year that it had been done. And so the concern was, why now? And also, it has gotten more significant, the amount of stonage. And so like one of the things that I looked at, and I looked at both sides, not just that I lived there, but I look at the right of way, how far the stones have gone, the cost of the residents cleaning their properties. Some have spent hundreds of dollars to do it. Some have done it themselves and indicated that it's just back-breaking labor. So the question was, could the town come in and clean that up? And the discussion was had with Tim, and the indication was that that would be too difficult for the town to do. Additional staff would need to be hired. And that would increase taxes. So residents are here tonight to express their concerns and views, and I wanted them to have that opportunity, and then we can have an open discussion.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm Mike Spencer. I live on Pine Hill Drive. And I think the point is to have meaningful conversation about if there's any way if there's procedures to implement that would reduce the amount of stone throw that we're getting. It wasn't always as bad as it is now. And so evidently there is procedures. I was very pleased to see the last snowstorm that the town truck went very slowly around. I'm no plow expert, but I appreciate that because I think it minimized, and they didn't drop the blade all the way to the very edge of the road, which also minimized what went in people's yards. So I think that's what all of us are after, is just having a conversation about what could be done.
I'm Lynn Spencer. So when we're talking about time, we have lived on Pine Hill Drive for 32 years. And in that 3 decades plus, this has been the annual spring, we have our own cleanup day and for almost all but in the last 4 years, it has been something that, you got to throw the rocks, but get them out of the grass before you mow the lawn. And you get them into the road. If there's fluffy, dry grass, you rake it up and you throw it in your compost pile. So this is not giant piles of rock that are going into the roadway. But within the last 4 years, the amount of gravel that has come into the yards, not along the edge, but as this year, there's some of the lawns have it 14 feet from the edge of the road into the grass. So we're reasonable people and we want to come up with a reasonable way to do it. But it is somewhat frustrating after 3 decades of this being the process. What has caused this to be the tipping point? And so that's my comment.
Can I just clarify, you mean putting it into the road?
Yeah.
So there's a change in that philosophy?
Building up on.
No, like we've been doing it for 30 years. and
Okay,
no one has
well, you
ever-
said what to change. I
Oh,
was
the
just
last
trying to
4 years, the last 4 years, the amount of gravel that has been put into the yards has been extraordinary. So what happened the last 4 years? Because there is stuff that, you can get it and move on. But this,
It's a gravel road, you would expect to get some.
but not like what we're getting.
Like 6 inches or, in some places, not all places.
Yeah.
Like when it's going back. Yeah.
One of the things about Pine Hill Drive is that there is one culvert where water is through, that you see it annually through there. But as the road is plowed, the amount of gravel that gets plowed into the culvert is extraordinary. And that has nothing to do with us. That's the blade that goes around. So, I'm looking at the Title 19, Chapter 11, Section 1111B. And
I think that's the one we're talking about.
and so,
That's in your packet, by the way.
so it was the driveway entrances, highway grades, drainage, and then there's a period. And so then it goes on to describe things. And so as to divert the flow of water into the highway. So is this about none of this stuff can go in because it's a matter of the water that is on that, being diverted into the highway or to the highway or right of way. Or, so this is a little bit confusing about this. So anyway, who wants else to jump in there? So.
Yeah, totally agree. The last 4 years, it's been horrendous. I'm one who has stones 14 feet long. And it's not just a stone or two. It is a lot of stones.
I mean, I didn't measure how far in, but there's like a big ditch, and then I have like some space, and then I have some elderberries, and it's like on the like towards my house side of the elderberries that it gets. I'm not sure. It's impressive, you know, that it can get that far. Sorry.
So question 2, did something change in the last 4 years? Why we're getting so much more?
You know, the other thing is that if it is snow, which we know you're not to put the snow back in there, or things that came from our property to go into the yard, but this is gravel that came from the road into our yard, that got dumped into our yard.
Yeah.
And then now we're understanding that, and this was gravel for the road surface that all of the individuals in
Right, we all
Berlin.
paid for it once already.
Yeah, and so everybody has, you know, and the town has purchased that for road. And now it was suggested for us to deal with it was that it was our problem and that it was up to us we could do whatever we want to with that rock or that stone, except put it back in the road.
Where it came from.
And so it wasn't, we're not generating it.
Yeah.
It's being put into our properties. So I'm not throwing my branches into the road. This is where it has originally come from.
And one question came up, could it go back into the road with the understanding that then perhaps you'd come in and do a grading? Because you do a fantastic job each year, typically every year, to come and regrade the road. So if it got put into the roadway so that everyone could clean up their lawns and were willing to do it themselves per se, then it could get packed down and regraded. And would that be one solution? That was something that was contemplated. And I wouldn't know unless we had the discussion.
So my name's Frank Machado and I live on Pine Hill as well. And you know, if we were to continue to do what was suggested for us to do, is basically throw it over our banks, then the town is going to have to pay you guys to come put more gravel in there when you can't crown the road the way it's supposed to be crowned. So I don't understand why we want to throw it over the bank when we can just throw it back in the road and have it regraded to a nice crown, which, like was mentioned, does get done and it is nice when it's done. I think we're wasting money down the road.
You know, and as was said, you know, because I've been there 19 years and this is what we've done every year. And why is it now not allowed?
Now, I'd like to continue a little bit deeper into the subject, which is, so there's putting the rock back into the road, and then there's whatever organic material that goes back with it also. My observation is, in general, that as we are conscious of that and we rake that out of there as best we can. And there's maybe even some better ways to do that, which could be tried going forward, but why, you know, so how is that any different than a big white pine on somebody's property that's dropping a lot of needles every other year along with pine cones? And are we making a fuss with every homeowner that's got that situation going on across the town? Because how many times do you drive down, well, for us, Route 12 in the summertime, and many of those people that live right there are blowing grass out onto the state highway. And those folks aren't getting tickets. They're not getting threatened. And I, for one, don't mow my lawn that way. I blow the grass back into the lawn. So I'm conscientious about it. And I think also in our neighborhood, we want our neighborhood to look good.
Yeah.
And so we do clean up the rock. And to just then deposit it, make a rock pile in our premises, which is not, I'm on the inside of the circle, so I do have a brush pile because I have a lot of trees, but now I gotta have a rock pile, right? So it's like, and again, it seems like having, taking the money that we've already paid for and putting it in a pile on my property because it can't go back onto the road. And it's not like we dump it in piles. People are really conscientious about just spreading it out really nicely. And so.
And one thing the residents had said to me at one occasion was, what is it like in respect to other roads throughout town? Have we been approached by other neighborhood towns that are similar to Pine Hill, and what's been done there? And I may have the timeline wrong, but when this first started, where the stone throw was happening, I believe Vince was town administrator at that time. And I believe that first year, the town did come in and clean it up. So I just would ask that question in terms of, have we done it for others ever before outside of that year that it was done for Pine Hill? And could that be done again? And I know going forward, and we've had this discussion, Pine Hill's going to be paved most likely this summer at some point. We don't have a date yet. But once that happens, this issue will not be as prevalent as it is now. So can something be done now, ultimately? And how can we come to a resolution on the issue that's concerning so many? And see everyone's viewpoint. I want to give Tim the opportunity to speak as well, if that's.
Actually, I have a question for the residents. So you're saying it hasn't been like that for decades. It just so happens it's just the last few years. And I know that the town has gone from whatever sand that they used to a granite sand. So it's white, it's gray, it stands out. Is it the wintertime sand that's ending up on your lawns, or is this truly?
It's granite.
It's rock.
It's
granite chip.
Yeah.
Combination.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe a year ago or 2 years ago, they came in, put in a lot of new material.
Okay.
Whatever that material was, has these granite chunks in it. That's what ends up in the yard.
Well, I know they're using granite sand.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Is there anything else?
Tim, I think Tim wants to talk.
Okay.
So it was cleaned up once, and it was because there was a new driver. It was in the fall of the year. It was the first time he had ever plowed with a dump truck. He rolled up a foot of gravel the whole way around. That's unacceptable. We cleaned it up. We rented a skid steer for $1,000 and went over there and cleaned up the edges and put the gravel back. What is ending up in the lawns is the winter sand. It is 1/2-inch plant mix, 1/2-inch winter mix is what it's called. It's manufactured sand. There's no more sand pits in central Vermont to speak of. Also, it benefits our road system by using the material that we use because it doesn't create mudslide in the springtime, because sand that comes from a gravel pit has topsoil, loamy material in it. And like I said, there's no more pits around. The pit that we used to buy from is since closed. So 4 years ago, we got ahead of the cart and started buying manufactured sand, because that's pretty much the way every municipality is going right now if they don't own their own gravel pit. And those are very few at the point now. There's only 2 or 3 in the current area. So that's kind of where.
So that's what changed.
They're in the white rock because it's granite rock, it's white.
Yeah.
It's not gravel, it's this winter sand, and it's mainly a lot to do with low traffic of a road. So the sand doesn't get worked off. So the next time it snows, there's sand in the snow, and that gets scraped up when the road's plowed and put to the snowbank. So
Do you run the neighborhood with the grader, pushing snowbanks back at the end of the year?
Only in the spring of the year, just
Spring of the year.
open up the edge of the road so they all thaw out and open up. I mean, that's a common practice against all municipalities.
Is there something different about this road that makes it happen more there? Is it more at grade, or I'm just trying to understand why we don't get complaints from other neighborhoods?
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere, trust me.
That.
It wasn't 14 feet on mine, but it was about 6 to 8 feet, so I understand exactly what they're talking about.
The first year it happened, I didn't speak up as much as I did this year, specifically because the residents spoke up higher this year. But the first year that it happened, it was very significant on the Spencer's property. And then it continued along across from our driveway and onto Lynn's property. And that particular year, being on the select board, not wanting to be perceived as a conflict of interest, I literally got out and I was trying to clean it up. And I'm like, I'm gonna kill myself. I can't do this, you know? But that particular year it was discussed. And like you said, there was the cleanup and getting that equipment and what was done. But it is significant this year. And that's, it was further in as opposed to spring.
Literally the first time the snow melted and we had a few days before everything froze back up. But
And another thing that happened after, sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to say, they mentioned the ditches. After that cleanup, the ditches were, I call them ditches, were made deeper. And I perceived that as to try to help with some of the situation at that time.
it's just standard cleaning of the ditches, you know, I mean, we do it all summer long. I mean, they're gonna start probably this week doing some of them. So that's what we do. We go around, that's part of our summer maintenance is we ditch and change culverts and gravel road.
In your interpretation, would it be helpful if the rocks came out as they clean up so that they can then mow their lawns and then do the grading like I suggested? Is that possible?
The problem with raking it out, and I get that they try, but that vegetation gets balled up in the gravel, it breaks down, creates potholes, makes more maintenance. I mean, we spend $150,000 a year on gravel. And I mean,
There's some areas around the circle where it's really mounded up. And at one point I recommended to tour, maybe we could do a drive-through or the board could come and actually see, because the pictures, in some capacities, the pictures don't do it justice in terms of how deep it is and just how much is mounded in certain areas. I think you spoke to it, Lynn.
so the other part of it is the winters are not, we get these warmth and thaws. And that thing, I mean, that plow's 2,000 pounds. That doesn't know the difference between snow and gravel. And that wing is out there and it doesn't know the difference between gravel. The guys do their absolute best to maintain but every time the truck changes, the plow changes, it'll dig in, it digs in, and then it just creates a problem. Or a chain reaction, because it makes a divot and then the truck follows that. Like, they try their hardest in the spring and fall of the year till things freeze up to not dig gravel, but that truck does not know the difference between gravel. And the little air lever in the truck doesn't know the difference between 1/4 of an inch or 3 inches.
Understood.
Then the road's not getting plowed.
And you're not doing it purposeful. And that's one of the big things that all the residents said. They know that it's not being done on purpose per se, but what do we do about it and how can we come to a resolution?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things to talk about out of this one, right? One is we've changed material, right? And from his explanation right now, we got to look at the process, right? In terms of, there's maybe some adjustments that could be made to the process of the way we do it, when we do it, or how we do it, that will minimize the impact that they're seeing. That's one thing. The second thing is what Flo just asked. What are our options now that can kind of balance it, right? We don't want to set a precedence for the town. We want to minimize the cost to the town and the cost and labor to our residents as well, right? So what are our options there? Like maybe grading, but put it back in the road and grade it in.
I was just gonna say,
maybe it's an extra grading. I don't know. You've got the biological stuff going on with it. From that point, maybe there's a better process out there. Maybe we can treat it. I don't know. We got a couple of things we have to look at, I think. Because they're not the only ones in town that have the problem. No,
I think
they're the only ones raising the issue right now.
The issue is where it goes, right?
I can show you pictures of my lawn.
It up.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that, that when Tim referred to that epic day when they showed up, it was like, oh, they're doing the road. It was a one-off because it was an early snowfall. It was extraordinary circumstances. I, for one, we're not asking to have the town come up and clean this up. What we want to be able to do it ourselves, but the amount of material that's being dumped into through the act of plowing is extraordinary. So our road is very unique. It is flat. It is, we have a couple of ditches and a couple of culverts, but it is for the residents who drive up, FedEx, UPS, and the Postal Service. That's about the extent of who comes up there. It is a destination. So our dirt road is different than the Chandler or West Hill or other dirt roads. And so I think how it is managed, I think all situations have a way of needing to be looked at. It's, not, I don't think what you do on our road, what you do on Chandler is maybe not applicable for what we do at our road. Other than for a couple of potholes that happen between where it is paved and to where it's dirt, we have the road surface. We don't get potholes. We don't get, because nobody's driving up there fast. It just doesn't happen. So, Tim and I had a conversation one summer day about how can somebody come up and kind of eyeball where the blade needs to go so things are not getting dug up. We have mailboxes on one side and there are telephone poles and stop signs on the other side. However, between the telephone pole and the stop sign is a straight line, and you can see where the blade has gone well beyond that line and dug out a hillside and dripped up the grass. So we want to just find a reasonable way of working. These guys have a really hard job to keep all of our community members safe in very, very stressful conditions. They go out at night, it's, it is a tough job. And the conversation was, how can we work together? A wise person told me recently, it's not our road. It's not the town's road. It's all of our road. And we just want to figure out how we can do this and keep our properties looking really well and yet at the same time, just keep everybody being able to get where we need to get to go and get the rocks out of our grass. I think it's also really important that the verbiage, when I hear sand, winter sand, that's like, I hear that word and it sounds like something I'm going to find at the beach. This is not. What we got in our yards is not what's at the beach. It is rocks.
It's like pea stones.
It would be very helpful if you just took a gander up there to see what it looked like, because the pictures really don't do it justice.
Yeah.
Well, I did drive up there this weekend.
Yeah.
And drove other roads as well. And I didn't see much of a difference.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see 14 feet up on somebody's lawn.
Oh, they raked it out in a wheelbarrow. And,
so I didn't see that.
Yeah.
But again, I see the granite sand, or what we used for sand, on all the roads, and it stands out. It's very different than the regular sand we used 3-4+ years ago.
Yeah.
So is there a compromise as to where this can go? Can it go back in the road? Can it go in the ditch? Where can it go? That's the issue.
Yeah.
It's like right now, some of the lawns in our neighborhood, there's no way you'd want your lawnmower mowing your grass. There's no way. You'd have broken windows and dents in cars and maybe kids getting hit with stones.
And I live on the inside of the circle and have no place to put the stone. I don't have a bank to dump it over. I don't have the woods where I can deposit it into the woods and it's not seen. I believe, one of the only properties that doesn't have a place to deposit it. So I'd like to know what I'm supposed to do with it.
I've been raking the gravel off my lawn for probably 55 years on that road. Before it was a road, wasn't even a town road. I think I can safely say that probably very little organic matter has gone into the road. I rake up the organic matter. Yeah, you could find a blade of grass somewhere, but it'd be a lot less than what comes out of the trees and falls every day from needles and leaves. I think we need to find a reasonable compromise. And I think probably the next item on the agenda is probably appropriate means to get there. How do we regulate and what rises to the level of debris in the road? I think if reasonable care is taken, and I believe it's been taken care of by residents around Berlin, and certainly on Pine Hill Drive where I live, I think you can do both. I think you put the gravel back in the road, just kept the grass out. Get the pine needles out and take them somewhere else. Compost them. You can't compost those stones. But I gotta tell you, most of Vermont rakes the gravel back in the road.
I believe there's a way we can come to an amicable resolve, put our heads together and really discuss it. And I think that's wonderful. You came up and did a review and of other roads too, Joe. That's great. Thank you. And thank you.
What was it? Gentleman next to you, your name?
Vince Conti.
Vince Conti.
I really like your thoughts, what you said before about looking at the process. That's really the number one thing to do first.
Yes, I'm sure there's things, with the material that we've changed to and done, I'm sure there's things that we can look at to improve the process. Again, yours area isn't the only one for sure. And I've looked at some of the roads and I live on one as well. And I have the same, thumb-sized stones on my lawn as well. So I get it. I get it. For sure.
And I think some of these are, longer term discussions, including the ordinance, the processes, but I don't think they want to be raking much this week, but the week after when it warms up again, I want to be, we need to be able to provide them some guidance on what to do in the next couple of weeks as they're out raking and it won't be long before the lawnmowers are out and they want their lawns clear to be able to mow and stuff. So I think we need to, give them an answer today or very quickly.
And this was great to get it on tonight's agenda so quickly after it was being requested. So I appreciate that as well. And I know everyone does.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
So we ready to move on to road protection ordinance discussion?
I just wanted to just throw it out there. I included in your packets information from the league and then the statutes that they referred to. I just wanted to give you a chance to review those and study them and look at what our authorities are and what the state statute says, and then decide if which direction we want to go in the future. I'm not looking for any action on this tonight. The last statute there, the Title 231126A, the waiver penalty on that is, the penalty range is between $40 and $1,197, and with a waiver penalty of $76. So basically, if you get a ticket on that, And you just pay it, the fine would be $76. If you challenge it, the judicial officer could charge you up to $1,197. So just to give you the background on that. And the other statutes were civil, which means it'd have to be a file civil suit in court. And
Now, when it says in this statute, certain highways, what designates their interpretation of certain highways? In other words, Pine Hill being more of a dirt road, do they mean by certain highways that this particular statute is for main highways as opposed to a road such as Pine Hill?
which one are you looking at?
Title 23, Chapter 13, miscellaneous rules, the final page. The one where you have the waiver information written, it does say depositing snow onto or across certain highways prohibited. I'm just wondering what they would.
I think it defines it in the first paragraph.
I think you have class.
There it is. I do.
Yeah, you got to actually read the text. You can't
Yeah,
just
I see it
look at
now.
this.
I didn't see that. Thank you.
No, that was just for review.
Correct.
Okay. There's nothing else. We're moving on to special event permit. Lennox Road. Want to say,
Do we want to set anything for us to get back to the residents with a certain time frame? Did we?
I think we should. Do we need to have more discussion of that with Tim?
Yeah, I think we need to
process.
Yeah, we need to look at both issues, right? And
right.
I think the immediate issue is what to do with this.
Yeah.
Debris.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, like to Terry's point, they're gonna want to mow their lawns in a few weeks.
Right. So perhaps we could put a time to it of when we anticipate responding, and that's what I would suggest.
Our next meeting's on the
21st.
21st.
Yep.
Have an answer by
That's
then.
2 weeks.
Is that too late for you guys or?
Depends on Mother Nature.
I think it's gonna snow tonight.
So let's give us an extra day.
Probably be safe till May.
Yeah. Next board meeting? Makes
Yeah.
sense.
By then,
We can act on something.
you didn't
On the
know.
next board meeting? Or sooner?
And thank you for bringing your views forward. Appreciate
Thank you
that.
very much.
Yeah.
Thank you for
all.
getting us on there so quickly.
And you're welcome to stay.
Yeah, please stay.
No, it's up to you.
This always happens. Everybody leaves as soon as they're.
We do appreciate the work that you do. So
Yes, thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you all.
Don't think you're gonna-
Don't thank us yet. Not yet.
Have a good evening. Thank you.
This is a application from Glennis Hill Farm for a concert for their CSA low-income food program. They've held this for a couple of years now. Looks to be on August 2nd, 2025, estimated 250 people. There've been no issues in the past. To not hear any concerns from the fire chief or police chief on this.
I guess my only comment on this event is and like every year, it's just maintaining access for emergency vehicles.
I thought there was a map included in what was sent to us.
I didn't print it out.
Okay, it was in the documents that were sent. There was a map that showed off-road parking.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, I saw that.
I do recall seeing that. But I don't think That's an issue if they maintain
never
the
had to go.
off-road parking and.
Right.
And, right, and unfortunately,
Third year.
That sounds right.
it's at least the third year, because yeah.
This Gus has been there for.
Yeah.
I make the motion to approve the special event amusement permit application for Glennis Hill Farm LLC for the event to be held on August 2nd, 2025 from 4 p.m. until midnight, as presented to us this evening.
I second it.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Get right-of-way permits. Park properties. And FHS programs.
So let's do Clark properties first. This is, Matt Clark's, or the basement systems. Looking to go on Greencher Road. This was first put in your packet, two weeks ago. Really, the only thing that's out of the ordinary is that they are proposing 2 curb cuts. But one would be a restricted access. It did have its first hearing with the Development Review Board last week. Did it make it all the way through?
Yep.
It did. No issues that I'm aware of with that, so I
Nope.
recommend approval.
Second.
Is there a second there? Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? FHS Holdings.
The second one is FHS Holdings. I think this is Archie Miles. There were quite a few questions raised on this one. And Tim has met with the engineer and conducted a site visit. On the initial plans, it talked about snow storage. But that was determined to be just temporary.
Yeah, more of a storm by storm basis. I mean, it's a heavy storm, they have to have somewhere to put it, but it's on their property, nowhere's near our right of way, and it's usually hauled out within a day or two, depending on the continuous of a weather event.
Yeah, they testified that they have to remove, so they've always had to remove snow from their site.
They said there's nothing new.
Very, they don't have any place to store snow there either, so I'm not clear.
Yeah, they don't have enough storage, so they're gonna have to remove it.
Yeah, they do it in every door they have now.
Yeah.
They have to remove snow, so it's nothing new for them, so it's not a new policy for them.
But another concern that apparently was raised at the DRB hearing, and that one you're not finished with, correct?
We're not, we still have more hearings. That's gonna be set to our next meeting. We did raise a question, it involves, new curb cut or replacing existing curb cuts, eliminating one curb cut, which is good. But there'll be new culverts involved, which I think you'll want to look at as a select board. Whether or not you think they're adequate in size. They haven't been sized, they're just 18-inch culverts, I believe is what they're doing. Have you looked at them?
Yeah, what they're putting in is fine. I mean, there's an existing 18-inch corrugated pipe and it's gonna be replaced with a smooth bore, so it's gonna take more flow anyways. But 80% of the water that is on impervious surfaces is going to be regraded and directed toward their stormwater retention pond. So the culvert that's in, everybody talk about the one from Industrial Lane, I mean, that's gonna be an upgrade from what's existing and there's no problem there now. So what's going in is an improvement, but most of the water that's gonna go that is going that way currently is going to be somewhat redirected to the other side of the property that goes into their stormwater collection pond.
Well, actually, not that much going to be redirected, Jim, but yeah, most of it's being treated. And going to a stormwater pond. Actually, probably less than half of it's going to be treated. The rest of it's going to be as is. Big thing I noted was there's a fair amount of erosion already in that ditch.
That's mainly because of
down when you get to the Granger Road.
Mainly because there's nothing there now, like the property owners that had the property never did anything, and we've fixed that numerous times and stone lined it, and I mean, I would say almost 100% of the runoff now from that property is going out the existing curb cut that they're gonna delete. And they said that they were gonna put in a basin up in there to collect that and slow that down, but yeah.
Yeah, the only thing you may want to look at is you may need, that's a steep ditch. You got probably what grades, excess of 7% there?
That, I wouldn't say it was that much.
Yeah, it's pretty much 7% on measured. But you may want to think about stone lining that.
Well, we,
Pretty much is.
because they had proposed lining the ditch, right? And they said that you didn't want them to. Just,
No.
but then there's this
They're
other
stone-
material.
They're gonna put in a ditch on Granger Road that picks up their stormwater pond drain off.
Right, on the front, but on the Bob, you explain that.
Industrial lane, they're gonna reconstruct that ditch.
Yeah.
When they reconstruct it, I recommend it be stone lined.
So they.
Uh-huh.
Not the whole ditch, just the steep portion.
Yeah, so, but they said that you didn't think that was a good idea because of maintaining it?
I don't remember saying that.
Oh,
Cause they were gonna they're putting in a basin over in that corner, and then they're gonna run a culvert out. My understanding was they were gonna put a basin over in the corner to pick up the stormwater, and then it's gonna be culverted underground out toward somewhere near the discharge of that telephone pole. And then it would be stone lined out to the ditch.
They will be eliminating that one drive.
Yeah.
So there were two drives there now, they're eliminating one of the two drives on industrial lane. So.
well, all I know is there was
You guys.
an alternative material. I think that's what Tour put in our packet.
Yeah, Tom approached me
Yeah.
after the hearing.
Yeah, that if you didn't want the, whatever you call it, what's it called?
Did you see
Yeah.
this?
That this was an alternative that was supposed to last. Not, well, he said forever, but I don't believe forever. But anyway, so it was something that we talked about considering. Instead of, if you didn't want to do the rip wrap or whatever it's called.
Tim has to maintain stone line just down now.
My only concern was that ditch on that side was just to make sure that it's deep enough. That it doesn't just overflow, I mean, cause there's no ditch there now,
Okay,
mainly because there's no discharge over there, it's just, it slopes up to the buildings and then everything slopes back to the parking lot. So there's not much runoff from the K&W entrance,
Yeah.
doctor's office. I mean, just besides what runs off the blacktop over to that side, and they're evidently going to, my understanding was they were gonna ditch that side of the road. Because the pond, one, there's gonna be a drain that runs out of the pond into that ditch, and then the overflow also runs to that side. So I think he said that it was designed on a 10-year storm event, which is 3+ inches. I'm a little hesitant to believe that anymore. I think in the last 2 years, it doesn't take much.
You will have runoff.
So
Yeah.
my only concern is that that pond's gonna discharge more water. They claim that it's not gonna retain water. It's supposed to have some sort of leaching system in the bottom of it that slowly lets the water out over time, but I mean, if we get a week's worth of rain, I'm pretty sure it's gonna hold water, and then the 6th day worth of rain is gonna be out over into the road. You have the blueprints?
This packet, no. We had them last week, though, or last meeting.
So the current culverts are 18-inch already.
The one that's being replaced and then they're gonna delete the other one.
The other one looks to me like it's hardly functional.
Is this a time to maybe even think about upgrading those, like most?
Well, I approached them about it. They didn't think it was necessary.
Okay.
I asked them if they recommended that they.
If you haven't had a problem with the 18-inch that's there now, you probably won't have a problem in the future. It's.
And that driveway in question is, I mean, the road is much higher than the property, so if there is an issue with the driveway culvert, it's gonna go to the property first, but yeah, eventually when it gets to the bottom of the property, it's gonna come back to the
When it gets to
road.
the bottom, it's gonna go over Granger Road. But I don't think there's gonna be more runoff from that property than there is now. It's just what
gonna
you
be
have
more
now,
control.
what you have now, yeah, and what you have now is.
Or I guess I wouldn't say control, that would be more to say concentrated.
There's nothing wrong with what they're doing. I'm just saying they're gonna reconstruct that ditch, they're gonna reconstruct the culverts, they're gonna reconstruct the driveways. I think they need to stone line the ditch.
Because they're going to.
Where it seems 5%.
They're going to come out of that basin by the telephone pole back 20 feet. I think it had it in the blueprint with a culvert to daylight because the catch basin, there's a catch basin and telephone pole all there enough where they can't ditch it properly enough for the catch basin to take it. So they're gonna excavate the catch basin and put a culvert into the basin and then daylight the culvert in the ditch.
What they're going to do with the property is really two stages. There's the level stage down where the K&W was, and then it goes up. They're gonna level that off. They're gonna excavate 8 feet. So you're gonna have an 8-foot cut. They're gonna put in new buildings against that 8-foot cut. The back wall of the building will be an 8-foot retaining wall. Behind that retaining wall, behind the building, will be a new ditch. That new ditch is all being directed to industrial lane. It flows into that same ditch and goes down to the first culvert, which they're replacing, and then continues down industrial lane. So they're redirecting all that flow.
But
that's going,
I believe,
down across the property now is now being redirected to the south to industrial lane.
but it's not the runoff from the roof, correct? They're putting gutters on everything to pick up for the stormwater to divert it to the pond, so it's just groundwater.
It's just the runoff from the
Like
ground.
from first,
So it's not creating a problem somewhere else, right?
like WorkSafe is behind them, so their water sheds
That's
to the back
what
of
I'm
the
hearing.
building.
We don't know, right?
We don't know.
It's whatever comes off of WorkSafe's property and that piece of property, and everything from WorkSafe's property line to
The back of
the
the,
back of the buildings is going to come out.
the roof will be guttered and that'll be into the stormwater.
Well, it goes in the
System, right?
It goes in the same. No, it's going to go in the same place. I don't think that's going down the pond.
I thought they said it was, but
Well,
been a few weeks.
I can't say for sure. We're not done after this.
Yeah.
So this permit is only for the driveway.
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
but if something we just want to make sure that if they wanted in the ditch.
Ditching.
Okay.
So we just want to make sure that we talked about what we would approve or what you would approve so that it could be on the application, I think.
Okay.
I mean, we'll do the same as we always do. We'll write a condition that says you're gonna need to get a permit to the select board to work in the highway right of way. They need to work in the highway right of way to make this happen. They need to do the ditch, they need to do the driveway, they need to do the culvert.
Without creating a problem somewhere else.
Mhm.
Yeah. Put that.
Right.
But yeah, this is just for the curb cut, so.
Any work within the highway right.
Yeah. Yes.
They're also redoing the drive down into Range Road. And they're regrading that entirely. Right now it was up and continues up in grade. They're cutting that There'll be a 6-foot high wall between that driveway, which is now at grade, and the hospital property. They're about to cut one.
Yeah, I guess.
We need to do it's not great over there.
So where are we?
I guess, do we want stone lined or do we want that stuff for the ditching?
We're gonna have to maintain it, we wouldn't get nothing too fancy.
I wouldn't.
Well, supposedly the other one's less maintenance. That's why we brought this, I don't know if you've looked at it, Tom.
They're perfectly comfortable still.
Okay, that's fine, whatever.
They'll be perfectly fine.
As long as Tim is, that's the concern, is that we wanted to make sure, or I wanted to make sure that
If
we
it,
weren't.
I mean, if they're gonna stone line, I mean, if we're gonna have to maintain it from here on out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the material that's readily available for us to have
Okay.
replace it.
Okay,
And this would you be, if you ever tried to maintain it, I'm gonna say you'd be pulling this out in sheets. Are you
This one?
not? Yeah.
Yeah, that's
well, supposedly, I
that's a lifetime.
didn't read all this stuff. It'll probably last my lifetime. I don't know if it'll last
I'm not sure you want.
My
Tim's
lifetime.
lifetime.
Oh, dear.
Okay.
They tell stuff like that too, but like, I mean, you're gonna get runoff
Yeah.
and silt and plugged up and
Yeah.
gonna grow vegetation.
I haven't lost you.
Okay,
Are we good?
are we good? So did we vote?
We have it.
Well, we got a motion in a second,
Got
right?
a motion.
Do we?
I don't think we have a motion on this one.
Oh,
Not yet.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
RK Miles.
Motion to approve
With the condition of stone lined?
Stone line bid.
with the condition of stone line.
yeah. I'll second.
Any more discussion?
Okay.
Seeing none, all in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
It hasn't found a problem
Opposed?
with the one that's moving all of us. Or anything
Truck bids.
with the ball.
Yeah, these are interesting.
So the other issue, there's what, 4 bids here. International
You want me to,
is Allegiance Trucks, which
you want me to elaborate on what it is,
Sure.
if there is? So yeah, Allegiance is the internationals. Minus the turnkey at the HP Fairfield. And then the Western Star is Charlie Boys.
Charlie Block.
Charlie Bois.
So the Western Star, I mean, they're all very considerably close in pricing. There's not much difference in that area. Western Star's availability is, as of 2 weeks ago, they have some build spots left for July. The HV and the HX chassis through Allegiance, one is also available sometime in July for build. The other one is available in September. With that being said, the trucks are readily available, the bodies are not. All the body companies are 12 months to 16 months behind. So it's gonna take a year and a half to get a truck at minimum. The turnkeys are available tomorrow. I also got another one today from the turnkey because I didn't realize that it was available. Because the one that you have, they only have one left, but it is still available. But the other one is a stainless steel body. Same price, just it's a stainless steel body, so it won't rust.
The same price on the same.
Really?
Really?
So I guess with that being said, my recommendation would be to go with the turnkey stainless body. And we were gonna turn that into the salt truck, so it doesn't rust out as quick as our salt truck. We only have one truck that does all the salting. The other ones are all sand trucks, and the bodies don't rust off nearly as fast.
I noticed the Allegiance didn't have anything for warranty
Built into the price,
built into the price. Okay.
what they told me.
You worked with Charlie Boys for warranty work before?
Have not.
What have you heard?
I mean, I've heard good things and I've heard not good things, but they're also still family-owned business.
Is that where this one's that one would come from?
Western side would come from, and they're out of Milton.
What about the one you just recommended?
The turnkey
The
truck.
turnkey would still be, so our warranty work and service work would still be done through the same dealership in Jericho that we've used for the last 20 years. You know as well as I do, that's not the greatest. But there's also other options. There's J&B out of Colchester. They also Allegiance dealer. There's a J&B in White River. They're at Allegiance. Allegiance Trucks owns, I think they're upwards of 40 dealerships now they've bought out in the New England area. So pretty much any international, no matter where it comes from, is an Allegiance dealer.
This is not my area of expertise.
So I did have the discussion with Tor. The turnkey deals have worked out good. That's the last truck we bought was a turnkey from Fairfield. That truck has been very good. We haven't had no problems with it. It's good body. It's good equipment.
Okay.
Knock on wood. We have not had a problem with that truck for the 2 years that we've been with it. So
your recommendation is that one? Is there
HB Fairfield?
Yeah.
with the
stainless body.
And then we would purchase the warranty through Allegiance for 7 years. The same as all our other trucks.
And you have the 20,000 question mark, is it?
It's
approximate.
Ballpark.
Okay.
I mean, that's what the last one was. And I don't believe they've changed.
Good.
I have a motion.
I move to approve the purchase of the turnkey for $309,875, including the 7-year extended warranty with the stainless body.
I second that motion.
Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Thank you.
So me and Tori had a conversation the other day. When we started this 2 years ago, it ended up getting us to the turnkey truck because the end of COVID chassis were non-existent. So now they've gone to chassis flooding the market. They're readily available.
Bye, Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
Bye, Bob. Thank
It takes
Good
them,
to see you.
it takes them less than a day to build the truck now. It's actually quite incredible what they can do in those factories, but it's now turned around to the other side of it where the body equipment's not available and body companies have fallen behind and I think and some of it's down to just material availability and staffing. I mean.
Well, buy that sucker now, because you know what it's gonna cost next week.
Just say that the internationals were,
Prices don't go down.
their transmissions are,
Well,
was that Allison they use or?
Allison transmission is, the last I heard, they were 150,000 units behind. That's the reasoning for the delay in the chassis. The Western Star would not come with an Allison transmission. it would come with a DD12, which is a manual automatic. We drove it, we test drove it. It drives nice. It's new to this area. From talking with the dealer, I guess the state of Connecticut pretty much is the only thing that they buy for their municipality trucks down there. So it's becoming new to this area because they can't get Allison's. So that's why the HV truck through International isn't available till September, because that's the only time that they have allotments for the transmission. And the HX chassis, for some reason, the availability for that chassis is just a few months ahead. So like I said, it's all these things are playing into why things are not readily available anymore. So like I was saying, me and Tor had a discussion that we might look into starting our buying processes a year ahead of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To just take the curve out
Makes sense.
and not have any issues with going over. I mean, because once these trucks run out of warranty, I mean, they could go forever without having an issue, or
the day after the warranty's
the day
done.
after the warranty's out.
Transmission, the motor.
And the motor, and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
To try to cut that gap between them, we might try to be proactive.
All right, good, thank you.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
We have ice rink update.
I thought Tom had wanted to talk about this, but apparently not.
Okay.
Tom.
The only thing is, he says he's planning to go to bid on this for this week. Which I kind of
Is it for just
don't
the
understand what it
structure,
is.
not the solar?
Right,
Bidding on.
The structure, because
just
Well, I think,
the
right, but we don't,
the rink portion. Whatever that work is.
because there's still a bond out there.
Right.
So
I would be leery of that because Steve said that that vote was defective because the wording included everything.
Which, the first one?
Yeah,
It included the solar,
included the solar canopy, correct.
the 775,000.
Right. Which is why he did not agree with the bond council saying that we didn't need the second bond vote. Steve's opinion was we did need the second bond vote because,
That's what I
right.
thought.
Donald, we'll see. I mean, I think I'm just more worried that he's gonna piss off the contractors, that they put a lot of time and effort into a proposal that we've got no intentions of moving forward on, and it's not like these prices are gonna. I mean, I put in a congressional, designated spending, for the 800,000, but I'm not gonna hear about that for another year at the earliest. So these proposals we get are gonna be obsolete anyway.
Mm-hmm. See your point.
Yeah. We should get clarification from Steve on that.
Yeah.
And
Most
then
definitely.
to either postpone it or delay it. For all the reasons you just said.
Mm.
That's my thought.
And then moving on to Cannabis Control Board. Follow.
So we have a cultivator renewal application. Hello Legacy LLC on Walker Road. And this was in your packet. I don't think there was an.
Not here.
Printed
That's where I
out.
saw it.
So coming up on their first renewal and I've not heard any concerns about them. Chief did not provide any concerns about them. They were very proactive in reaching out to me earlier in the process saying, you know, we're coming up for renewal, anything we need to do? And I'm like, I don't know, this is our first renewal. And they said, well, this is our first time renewing. So they've been very proactive in reaching out and everything. So I recommended approval.
Yeah. Is there a second?
I'll second, but I just have a question. Can I just see that for a second, Tori, because I can't put it in mind. Is this it says it's in a public building.
I am.
Oh, maybe you didn't check yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
Did they not check yes? Or
I saw it, yeah. It's on Walker Road.
It's on Walker Road. It's a greenhouse.
In the statement, it said it's a public building. That was the same question I had.
yeah, I just wasn't sure whether that means it's just open if people come there. But it doesn't really, I mean, that was just a question. It doesn't really change my opinion of the renewal, but.
No.
So the greenhouse is on somebody else's property. It's not owned by, I don't believe, because they're my neighbors, more or less.
Yeah.
And I spoke to some of the people on Walker Road. They don't necessarily have an issue with it. But I don't believe they own the property. I believe they lease the property. And so in that case, would that make it a public space?
I think they probably misunderstood what that meant.
Either that or
Really, if it's leased under the company name.
it still doesn't make it a
right?
public building. I just wonder if they let the
Right.
public in, and so they considered it a public building. But
Well, it's not retail.
I wouldn't think so because it's not retail. So there already should be any reason for the public to go in there.
Just an error in the application or whatever, maybe. If that has any bearing on it.
no, it doesn't. It really doesn't. I'm good.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Committee appointments.
So, Cemetery Commission, Jim Ryan's term is expiring and expressed an interest in being reappointed for another 3 years. I'll move to appoint him, reappoint him.
Jinx.
Any more discussion? All in favor in appointing Ryan?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
I'm gonna step away from this one. I'll let
Public
you
Works
handle it.
Board, make a motion to
Tor Nelson.
for Tor Nelson, for Public Works Board.
Second.
Any discussion?
I heard he's a jerk.
Hey.
All in favor?
Aye.
Well,
Planning Commission.
I abstained. Theron Lee Sleeper has, his term is expiring and expressed an interest in staying on for another term, so I move to reappoint him.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Sorry. No. All right. Development Review Board.
Lastly is Polly McMurtry. Her term is up and expressed an interest in continuing. I move to reappoint her.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. FY 26 paving bids open.
We've received 5 bids.
Thank you so much.
Reach it.
There you go.
Thank you very much. Reach it without tipping my water over, I don't think.
Nice spot, one for everybody.
Fair, there.
Does everybody have the two projects, I guess?
Yep.
Yes, Flo, do you want to go first?
So I have Pike Industries Incorporated as the name of the bidder for Payne Turnpike North. The representative bidder is Tiffany Gast. The address is included in the email, and it's for 1,615 ton at a cost of $98.50 per ton. Total cost of the job, $159,077.50. We want to go around and do that one first, or do you do both of them?
I'll say do both.
Okay, so for Scott Hill Road from Pike Industries, also same representative and address, et cetera, for 1,870 tons at a cost per ton of the $98.50. And total cost of the job, $184,195.
Okay, thanks.
So I have Blacktop Inc. out of West Leb for Payne Turnpike North, estimate 1,724 tons at 109.57 per ton for $188,898.68. For Scott Hill Road, estimated 2,072 ton at $109.57 a ton for a total of $227,029.04.
Okay, Joe.
Engineering Construction Incorporated, it's ECI. For Payne Turnpike North, estimated material is 1,585 tons at $120 a ton for a total of $190,200. For Scott Hill, with an estimated 1,760 tons at a cost at $119 a ton, and total cost $209,440.
Okay, I have J.A. McDonald. Okay, Turnpike North. 950 tons at $132 per ton for a total of $125,400. For Scott Hill Road, 2,805 tons at $103 per ton for a total of $288,950.
Oh, good, you wrote it all down. I didn't.
You didn't get all details, but I, so the money.
Just for Scott Hill or for both?
For Scott Hill.
Scott Hill, it's J. McDonald, 2,805 for the number of tons at $103 a ton for a total of $288,915, 288,915.
Okay, J. Hutchins Inc. out of, I think, Richmond. Yeah. Payne Turnpike North, 1,462 tons, estimated $135 a ton. Total price $197,370. Scott Hill Road, estimated 1,760 tons, $135 a ton for $237,600.
There's a price per ton on that.
135. But it's interesting to me how different the estimates of material is.
Yeah.
The tonnage on a couple of them are like right out there.
I mean, 800 ton difference is a lot.
It is.
So when we sent these out, did we send them out for shimming and top course?
Yeah.
I think I saw that.
It's supposed to be reclaimed
Now, this says
Yeah.
reclaim and find grade
Reclaim
online.
on Page Turnpike North, and,
Okay. Reclaim, yeah.
Reclaim, yeah.
okay.
Mill joints, fine grade and compact gravel. And that one space, an inch and a half. What top coat?
Seems like.
So you have price per
basics.
ton, right? You have
An estimated tonnage, price per ton in total.
Mhm. And looking at totals,
Well, you're not,
So the difference may be, did they all say the same thing, which is like Blacktop gave us, they're gonna put 2.5 inch, or was it specified? Because I guess I didn't
This one-
see
It was
the
specified in the.
2.5 inches, a 3/4 inch base. They're all, okay, they're all consistent there, and an inch and a half of half-inch
Top,
top coat.
yeah.
Okay, all
Mine says
right,
that.
so there's no difference there then either. It shouldn't be, anyway.
So, since I'm not familiar with these contracts, are they bound by the price, or if they use more, or,
The next question, was it bid as a price per ton on estimated tonnage? But the actual billing rate will be actual tonnage used at that rate? Right?
yeah, my question is,
So if
yeah, if they use more
1,000
material, are we on the
tons
hook or are they on the
instead of
hook?
Exactly.
it does say under the scope of the work that the bids are to include the full cost of the job as well as the price per ton. It shall be the contractor's responsibility to prepare the projects for bidding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there are notes on these. I don't know if those mean
Yes.
about what they do and don't do.
I'm not sure about that though.
Yeah.
I think it says price will change if
If
large
large,
number
yeah.
of ton is eliminated. What's a large?
Oh, well, this says price might change based on volatility in the,
Yep, in the,
yeah.
yeah, this has that as well. Fuel price adjustment and asphalt, cement escalation, de-escalation. For the liquid asphalt. So that's good too.
The bid I received from Pike Industries indicated this bid is to pave each of the particular roads as per instructions in bid specifications. That's how they termed what they would
Yeah.
do.
Questions, they're gonna bid us the actual tonnage rate or
Yeah.
estimated.
It's a good question.
Based on on the differences in the estimates, I think it's an important question.
can we go back
So-
and ask that?
I think it might be based on the,
Yeah, we definitely can.
Or was saying we definitely can,
Yeah.
and I believe we should.
Just. Again, there's a significant difference in the estimate.
I mean, it's funny because one of them, Joe's and mine were exactly the same on Scott Hill Road, I think, 1760. But then some of them are way,
Yeah.
Yeah.
1,760, 1,462, 1,615, I think,
1870 for mine.
1,870.
And one was 20, way up 2,600, wasn't there some high number? I don't know.
I think one of them was 2805.
That was, yeah, J.A. McDonald.
Yes,
And they're not exactly inexperienced, so,
but their overall cost for that job,
yeah.
I believe, is the least of all that we heard. Even
For
though
Payne Turnpike, it was.
it was the least. And then coming in second on Payne Turnpike was the Pike Industries. In terms of
Like
lower cost.
Pike and Blacktop. Blacktop's gonna haul their material from Colchester, but they make it.
Right.
Okay, Pike makes it.
Oh, is that why it's cheaper?
ECI is buying it. Same with McDonald, J. McDonald. They're buying material. And I'm gonna say they're probably gonna be buying it local. Be my guess. So that's a price difference there. You know, 119.
Blacktop will come out of White River. Jimmy Hutchins will come from Irisburg.
But wait a minute, Colchester, isn't it?
No, Blacktop is White River.
Blacktop. Well, what's the one up in? Well, Wickham.
Wickham is in Colchester.
Yeah, but they also go under another name.
Not anymore.
I don't believe so anymore.
Whitcomb?
Wickham.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Blacktop is White River, it's Twin State. Nicoletta. White River, J. McDonald would be, probably Pike. I think that's what they buy their mix. J. Hutchins plant is in Irisburg.
I did. Pike is
Blacktop. She had Pike, Blacktop.
Whichever tonnage, price per ton.
on which one? Which job?
Pike, give me one.
Okay, so Pike for Scott Hill Road, tonnage was 1,870.
I just want price per ton.
Price per ton was $98.50 on each for pipe.
So ECI is roughly the same. It's 120 for one, 119 for the other. I mean, they're steady.
How is that the same?
Well, mine is the same.
Oh, I thought you meant the same as hers.
No, but I'm going to say.
Say, what am I?
The markup of another 30 some odd dollars per ton or whatever that might have been.
Yeah. Yeah, this one's.
That's the cost of buying it somewhere else.
103 versus 132.
What's our pleasure?
Well, I guess
Do we need clarification?
I would recommend McDonald for Payne Turnpike and Pike for Scott Hill on the condition of review and acceptance by the road superintendent.
I concur with that.
Is that, and that's
on the overall bids from everyone.
So just to clarify, is that strictly based on price or the lowest price or I didn't put them all down.
Yeah, the thing we can't overlook is the reclaiming as well.
Right.
There's gonna be some different costs probably between them there that we don't see that's built into the bid beyond the price per ton as well.
Yeah.
What was the difference? You said McDonald for Payne Turnpike?
Right.
What was the difference in the bids?
Yeah, they were the lowest at 125, 400. The next was Pike at 159.27.
I did write them all down if you guys want to see.
Yeah, he's got them written down too. Thank you.
Sorry. I
Just curious why he's that much lower.
Pike was 159,077.50 for Payne Turnpike North.
McDonald had 950 tons. For Paint Turnpike.
And what was Pike's?
1,615 ton.
There's a difference in price, but I don't know why he's so low on tons.
Mine ECI is lower than them.
Really?
Sure, 1585
In terms of tons?
tons.
McDonald's is only
McDonald's
950 is McDonald's.
McDonald's under 1,000 ton, like that's.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's quite a bit of tons it's missing. Everybody else is fairly close at the 15 to 17 range.
Did McDonald visit with you on the?
That's why.
So he's got an accurate.
Oh, yeah,
measurement of the length.
Yeah, he's supposed to. So I just don't understand why he's missing 600 ton. That's a lot of hot mix.
Yeah.
That's a lot of hot mix.
I mean, everybody else is fairly close. He's 600 short. So if they don't, like you're saying, if they end up going, I mean, they end up using 1,300 to 1,400 ton, and they went 500 over, you're gonna pay that much more. I don't know what his price per ton was. I think it was over 100, right?
132.
I'd like to also add, you guys can do what you want with it, but Pike is a Berlin business, and they're also the only one that's bid on our work for the last 4 years, and everybody else hasn't turned in any bids after being requested. So.
How was it worded when they put in?
Low.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I was just saying, like, they've all been lower bid, you know, I mean, they've all been under 200,000, and this one actually was a fair amount of work, but people jumped on it.
To the point about if they use extra tonnage, costing the town more, the bids that I have in front of me are clearly marked total cost of job. I interpret that as they're giving an estimate of the number of tons of material they're going to use, and they base their cost on what they think they will use. But if they're giving us a bid based on the total cost of the job, I feel like that's more set in stone. No pun intended.
But these also total cost of the job.
Yeah, I don't think that's,
Yeah.
But I see your point, Tim, too.
Do we want to get clarification and do we need to vote tonight?
No, we definitely do not need to vote tonight.
Maybe we get clarification on the tonnage and then vote next time.
Yeah.
What is
the question that you guys want?
Who's on the hook if they didn't estimate right, us or them?
You might be able to answer that conversation right now.
I might be able to help with some of it. I know that I've worked with a few towns and stuff. And generally from my understanding from what we do, at my company, I won't tell you who I'm with. But we give you that number and then we'll talk, and we should come in kind of where our numbers are estimated. Personally, they all kind of should come in at that point, but also there's a lot of communication there. But if you do it by the tons, then, per price per ton, if it is that 950 tons, or if it's 800 or 300 or whatever, you're paying that ton price. So if they go more, you're gonna pay a little more, but if they go less, then you'll pay a little less. So there's always that gamble as to where if you are saying, okay, this is the actual price, then, you know, you're always like, okay, well, we're stuck at this, and you never know what the road is gonna be like, especially with a reclaim, you know, do you have to add a little more in order to make it crown better, or maybe you need to add a little more material, just to match the road in certain places or whatever.
So the price per ton is set, but the number of tons is not. You pay that price per ton for whatever they use.
Yep, so
Okay.
that price per ton is what we can do the work for at that
Yes,
price.
yes.
So whether it's 600 tons or 200 tons
Yeah.
or whatever.
Okay.
So, and it's based off of the information that we were given.
That's
Yeah.
good, helpful information. Thank you.
Yep.
So we're gonna hold this off until next meeting?
I'd almost rather make the decision tonight based on the additional information provided.
Personally, I would go with the same company for both. I'd go with Pike. That's my that's my thought.
That was my initial lead.
Yeah, any way that we go, I think we should go with one company. I don't know, what do you think, Tim? If we split it, it makes
It's
it
gonna be
messy.
easier because they're gonna come here at the same time. They're gonna do, you know what I mean, they're gonna do both.
It benefits them as well,
jobs at the same time, And everything. I mean. Everything will get done at the same time by the same company. You're gonna deal with the same people.
Well, and basically if you take out that outlier bid, they're the lowest on both. Pike is.
Per ton, yeah.
So is there a motion on the table to accept Pike's bid for the two projects?
So moved.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hmm. 2025 mowing contract.
Oh.
And yours is ready.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a
Thank
good
you.
evening. Have a good night.
Oh, I'm fading fast, guys.
So we've previously gone out to bid for the mowing of the town properties, cemeteries, and the waterworks. 3 bids were received. Hillholm Estates, which was formerly Kirkyard, who has done the mowing for the past several years. They came in lowest for both the town and the cemetery. Darius Brown did not bid on the town. He only bid on the cemetery for $27,000. And Spalding came in at $55.50 and $12,000 respectively. Cemetery Commission's reviewed these and is very happy with the work from Kirkyard. And that was the recommendation, and I will make that motion to accept Hillholm Estates, formerly Kirkyard.
Second.
For the town cemetery and waterworks
Correct.
and extra. We have a first and we have a second. Any more discussion?
Just one question before. The waterworks, is that it's $100
Per mowing.
per mowing? Okay. Just wanted to make sure I understood that one. I'll second it.
Already seconded.
Right.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Okay, I guess I wasn't listening very good.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? FY 26 V-Trans annual.
So 2 documents that we're required to file every year. First is the annual financial plan, the TA 60 form. How close was I Just thinking of my estimates there, but.
Oh, for the.
So this breaks down the money we get from the state versus what we as town funds are putting in, and then how we're gonna spend the money. And that we certify we're spending at least $300 per mile for each class 1, 2, or 3. On highways, of course, we don't have any class 1 roads. Recommend approval of that. The second one is certification and compliance for town road and bridge standards and network inventory. Here again, that's also a yearly certification we have to send it, and so I will move to approve both.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, ordinance drafts for alarm ordinance, emergency service reimbursement ordinance.
So there was some discussion on this in the past. Carl has done some research into it. I guess the big question last time is, do we combine these two into one or keep them separate? Chris, you weren't able to find any.
I didn't find anything, and the question I have, so the alarm one is both, I assume, both fire alarm and security alarm, right? Not just fire.
No, the fire department, the fire alarm, I guess that's why it's called fire alarm. Right now, it's only for the fire department.
Okay.
At the time it was presented, the police department did not want to be involved.
Okay, I wasn't sure about that.
I have since reached out to the police chief, and he is at least interested in having police alarms be put into that.
Okay.
ordinance.
Because I guess, and it doesn't really matter that much, but it was an overall question about if we were going to integrate them, whether we wanted to, because they do seem to be kind of separate things.
Yeah. After giving it some thought, I was thinking the same.
You and
thing.
me.
We need to keep them separate.
Get each other at the table.
I can't feel anything, but I can feel that.
Yeah.
So
I think also to keep things simpler, keeping them separate. Because otherwise you just get this unwildly 20.
Yeah, and looking at the work that she had found as well, it looked like they were keeping them separate also and not really combining them. And I agree with you. I think that makes the most sense.
I mean, I rewrote the Woodstock one that was just basically just said Berlin. But Joe, there's some stuff in here that's not in ours. So I wanted you to, like, what's a Knox box? Do we want that in here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think that should be more of the planning commission, because that's a condition of the zoning permit generally.
The Knox box?
Yeah.
It should be.
Yeah.
And that's a recommendation for all
of them.
Zoning permits, right?
Yeah, because this just says no.
I don't think you're gonna think a Knox box in an alarm ordinance.
If it's already covered under the planning one.
Correct.
Double dip it there.
Okay, well, yeah, this just basically would reiterate that. It says no key lockbox system shall be used, operated, or maintained that is not a Knox box rapid entry system manufactured by the Knox company.
Right. So they're picking that company. Which is the same company. It's a lockbox, but Knox
is a brand.
Is a brand. And they have multiple things that you can, gates and other items that you can purchase.
And
similar.
Yeah. And this one has I believe has significantly higher penalties. So I hadn't changed those, but if you wouldn't mind reading over this, and because I was going to go back to the original draft and just kind of see what's new, and I just didn't have
Is this
time.
one police and fire?
No, this is, wait. So alarm monitoring. System is any mechanism or devices used for detection of fire, health hazard, or unauthorized entry. So it would be
Okay.
both. So again, we can pare this down if it's got too much, but I liked it just because I like the way it was written and the way it was laid out. But
Now, one thing this had was after the first false alarm, they're required to provide evidence that it's been inspected.
Serviced or inspected.
Right, which I do like that.
Yep.
I do. Of
Because
course,
that's what you're trying to do here.
right, you're trying to.
well, except a lot of our false alarms are up during construction, right? Or they're, no?
Sometimes it's a maintenance thing. And that's where they fall short.
Right.
And so if we can force them in some way to
If it's
maintain.
cheaper to do the maintenance than it is to pay the fine, they'll do the maintenance.
Right.
Right.
To not get the alarm, false alarm.
And that's what I tell them at 2 a.m. when I'm calling the regional manager.
Yeah.
And so you get enough of those phone calls, they're gonna react.
Actually, maybe
Or you get penalized in such a way, you're gonna react.
You wish you reacted.
Oh, yeah, unregistered alarms, it's 600. And the second was 700. And the waiver fee is 400 and 500. I think this was higher than, but
I think
anyway,
it's quite a bit higher.
yeah, we can talk about, I think it was only like 200, 150 and 200 or something, but that's obviously something we can decide. I mean, but you're right, if it's too low, it doesn't encourage encourage maintenance, because that's probably costly.
But at the same time, we don't want to price them
No,
on the
we
market
don't.
that day, say, screw it, we're taking the
Yeah.
system out.
Right.
Or just gonna, unhook it.
I'm gonna say the majority of them will not be able to take them out.
Well, a lot of times it's tied into their insurance and everything.
Yeah. But you want it enough so that, again, you put the step approach in. The first one is probably reasonable.
Yeah.
But the second one will cost them whatever the maintenance would have cost.
That's within 12 months, so it has to be within a year.
And I think our ordinance is 6
months, huh?
Oh, is it? Okay.
So you can lay it out that way.
Okay.
But we can, but again, Joe, I mean, I'd like you to kind of just see if there's things in here you think we need or don't need. And then, I didn't bring the other one. I did do some stuff on the other one too, but I didn't bring it. That I have.
So I'll go through it and provide comments and send it out to the.
Yeah, that sounds
the
good.
select board. How about that?
We wanted to try to get it moving, I think, for next time. If possible.
Thank you. Personnel policy, continued updates, if you wanna.
So in our discussion, I do have a one page here. I didn't put out the whole thing. Talking about restricting work from home. So I wrote up a paragraph on that, basically. Not totally eliminating work from home, but it's our intent that you will not work from home, but we will provide some flexibility at the approval of the full select board.
Yeah, my only question on this, do we want to consider any statement for inclement weather, bad weather, icy roads, right?
Yeah.
Right, they don't have time to contact the board to get approval for that. Do we want to have some verbiage in there? Maybe it's a phone call, right? And I don't know, from a safety aspect, is it anything we should have?
I'm just wondering if it should be, if it's a one-off, it's the town administrator, if it's a permanent. They want to do it like every week from
If it's a
a
schedule,
certain day or something, then
Right.
it's the select board. I don't know, that just,
that's the other word, verbiage, right? That covers everything, inclement weather, a one-off type of thing.
yeah.
We do have it in here on the case
Contact
by
the
case
town.
basis.
Well, I envision all of this being a one-off. I don't envision a regular.
Right.
Right.
Every Monday you're told, I don't envision that being allowed at all.
At all.
Keep in mind, these are public facing positions.
Absolutely.
And if the tax bills are due on March 15th or February 15th, the fact that it's snowing
doesn't relieve
that tax due. I think,
And on that note,
let's face it, nobody lives that far away from the office, and the roads are never that bad that you can't get here, period.
I think having the verbiage in there that you just said, that it's public facing positions, that might be wise to have that built in.
It is.
It is.
I mean, I think the only exception is if the building's blown away or something, but we got bigger problems in that case.
Oh, there it is.
You'll know that
It
when you
is.
show
I'm
up.
sorry. Judge, it says as all town positions are public facing and provide minimal backup. It is in there. Thank you.
The case. I don't know. I guess the case.
I think if you don't have to make a decision tonight, but just stew it over. I know it's the first time you're looking at the language, so.
That kind of covers it. Again, my comment to that, case by case kind of covers it, but who are they going to contact, right? And to your point, is it the chair, the town administrator? Just so it's very clear. Oh, let me look in the handbook and see what it says.
Yeah. I just worry that this kind of thing is I
guess the other thing, if it's severe weather, have you taken your laptop home? Have you even thought that far ahead?
Right. You don't have it, you can't.
Then you can't, right.
You can't anyway.
You can't work, so.
I just am thinking like, if something came up, the idea that you'd have to be the select board to approve it just doesn't seem reasonable to me. It seems like maybe the town, I hate to say it, but it seems like the town administrator should approve it.
Can have the authority to do that. Yeah.
What do you envision? I mean.
Well, like if
I have another question though.
My car, I have a flat tire and I call you and I say, can I work at home today? I have my computer.
You don't have your laptop home. I say no.
I don't know. I just can't.
I'll be right over to pick you up.
It doesn't seem like something you'd be planning ahead.
Back seat.
I just don't know that it's something that you're planning in advance.
And if we put it in the document like that, what's our liability, right? So they do call you and you say that, come on in, something happens. Is the town liable for telling them to come in?
Because we have a work at home.
Right.
Alternative.
Or do we just say that's not work, it's not allowed at all?
That's maybe, I don't know. I don't know the legal liability if we put something in there like that, right? And we tell somebody no to come in. If something happens, is the town liable now?
And so I think going back to maybe a weather or road condition issue. And I think those things you can see, you can plan for. I think those conversations, freezing rain or snowstorm or something like that. I mean, it's a yes and no. If I saw that and you weren't home and I took my laptop with the idea that I'm going to contact you and you may say yes or no. Whatever that is, you can kind of plan ahead. I don't know. You can.
But if somebody wants to come up here and make their tax payments and there's nobody here, roads are good enough to come out and make their tax.
Are we going to penalize them because
it's not good enough for a treasurer to come in?
And nobody was there.
Right.
Now what? Yeah, you can go both ways.
I'm not very sympathetic to the work at home.
I almost think it's better just to not have a policy that you.
That not at all.
I don't know. Do we ask Steve? I mean, I don't know.
Depending on where the person lives and depending on what that might be, I might have a 10 o'clock funeral to go to. But yeah, I could give you 2.5 hours working from home and then out the door I go. You get something out of them. I don't know. We could play that, what if?
How's he gonna work from home?
Not everybody can. Not everybody can. I was one of those during COVID, couldn't work from home.
Yeah.
But
I mean, you can't really you can't plan for all the one-offs, but I just
No,
feel
right.
like
Right.
it's maybe
I
better.
think it should be extremely limited. And I think it's that limited that it needs to be brought to the full select board. Here, good. Think about it. You don't need to make a decision tonight. Are you peeping?
Yep.
I know you've got, I don't
Yes,
wanna.
it's him.
It's so enthusiastically.
Well, he knows I have a meeting.
But still, in his situation, we can be a little,
Well,
we can be a little empathetic, I think, so.
If you want to step out and take it, just to be sure.
I guess it's a case by case basis.
That's right, but you can't work from home. Then lastly, and so, I don't know, did I send them out to you? Shelburn's.
Yes.
Especially.
Yep.
Policy.
Sent them out.
Has pretty extensive section on computer use and computer security.
Yeah.
Which is absent from our policy.
Yeah.
I'm thinking in this day and age, there's something we would want to incorporate into ours. Okay.
I think so. The workplace is going more and more. Everything's done on that, and
Right.
yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Okay.
concur.
That's all I had on it, unless somebody had anything that they were reviewing and thought was a good idea.
Volunteer emergency response leader?
Oh, did we go over that?
No.
Oh, so this is something new that we talked about. Didn't really find anything. This is totally off.
So I was looking at that and saying, I think we could pull the verbiage if we wanted to look at what VSCA has for state employees that fall underneath this. So just something.
If any of our state employees could forward that.
I think so. I use it often enough.
oh, is that in the union contract?
What's that?
That's in the union contract?
Yeah.
It's good.
Want to join the fire department?
No, thanks.
Tried. Hi, Brick.
Oh,
Coming up
that wouldn't, oh, that's right.
this weekend.
Saturday.
April 12th, Saturday.
Oh,
Approval of the minutes, warrants.
No, warrants.
I have that in front of me. I'll make the motion to approve payroll warrant 25-19 for payroll from March 9th, 2025 to March 22nd, 2025 to be paid on March 26th, 2025 in the amount of $67,605.03. Also payroll warrant 25-20 for payroll from March 23rd, 2025 to April 5th, 2025 to be paid on April 9th, 2025 in the amount of $67,814.23 and payable warrant 25G19 with check number 24837 to 24885 in the amount of $202,122.88 and the ACH payment for the bond renovation loan as well.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Discussion. In favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Roundtable? Minutes. Oh,
One step for March 17th. I've made one correction since Kelly typed these up. Janet Richardson is now capitalized.
Any other changes? I think there was a recommendation that select board orders instead of selectmen's orders. That we could address that.
Was that how it's worded on
It's selectmen. Yeah,
the official document?
it is an official document. We need to string someone up.
Let's start with fire chief.
I'll make a motion to approve the Monday, March 17th, 2025, select board minutes.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor and accepting
Aye.
March 17th minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Roundtable flow,
Happy to thank you.
Vince,
I'm good, thank you.
Carolyn,
I just remembered, I don't know if I mentioned that to select board training. I didn't go if I heard about it the first year, I didn't go. I don't remember hearing about it, but I don't know if any of you guys attended online, but we were there at the Capitol. It was really good.
It was well
really
done.
good.
It was very well done.
Yeah, I was glad that I went.
I went when I first began and it was in Rutland.
Oh, yeah.
So it was.
Yeah, it was nice. that it
Nice
was
to
at
have
the
it
Capitol.
close to home.
Yeah.
And it was highly attended both in person and online. But we couldn't tell who was online, so we
Yeah.
didn't know if any of you were also there.
But I guess one of my questions that came out of that was, do we have, because I didn't, like, sometimes I'll go to VLCT and look for things, but not logged in. So do we each have a login? Do I ask for a login or do we just use the town login?
I'm gonna say
You register.
You register and
You create your own? I thought he said
If
you
I remember,
looked at
I
it.
haven't
No,
done it yet, but
you
if I
register
remember right,
and create your
you're going.
Oh,
to correct
okay.
your own.
Maybe I have one now because I registered for that thing.
You most likely do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because there's all kinds of resources I didn't know were there
Exactly.
beyond when you're logged in.
That's right.
Was there a charge for that?
I don't
No,
know.
it was
training-
free.
It was free?
When I first responded, I thought there was a charge, the way I responded that I was going to do it, I was gonna look into that, et cetera, but it was free.
Okay, cool.
it starts out with a charge, and I think when you click the right town, you're part of.
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you as elected
Mhm.
official, it then.
Maybe,
Makes
I
it
actually
zeroes it
called
out.
and spoke with someone because I had that question, and she said, no, there's no charge, but you're right.
Okay, as long as you're not paying for it out
With
of
the
your own
town,
pocket.
or that we're select board members.
You know, Rachel sent it to us, so I,
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm.
it's
And
good.
they notified Rachel, so it could very well be as you just described it.
Oh, we gotta sign
As
stuff.
soon as they registered us, they notified Rachel and then she thanked us.
Yeah.
You want to start that one? Start this one?
Anything else, Carol?
Nope.
Sure.
No.
All right, well, like it was mentioned, your live breakfast is this Saturday at the fire station, Danger Pike North. Starting at 9:30 to 12. You are all cordially invited. In fact, if you want to be cutting and serving pies, I'd much appreciate it. And you can meet all the town residents.
Yeah, I'll come. I won't cut and serve pie, but I'll come.
Come and eat pie.
Rachel does. Rachel will come and serve pie.
You know, I say that just because I don't wanna, I don't know what, my life is a little bit up in the air right
Oh, okay, yeah, understand. Sorry.
Understandable, absolutely. I've been there and served pie before, a couple of occasions.
Is Sam's band coming?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always fun. It's a good time. And always a wide variety of pies. Delicioso.
I was gonna make a maple cream pie last year and then I
Made a cake.
Well, I made a cake for you guys. I was also gonna make a maple cream pie, but never managed to get, I think there's something I didn't have at home and I'm like, I am not going, I was late at night. I'm like, I am not going back to the store. So I never made it. So I love maple cream pies. Oh,
I just purchased a maple pie for my brother-in-law who's here from Kentucky. And we haven't cracked it open yet. We keep like, oh, are we gonna have the pie tonight? You know, so tonight's his last night here, so we may have late night pie. Thank you.
hello? Hi.
On another note, both Flo and myself attended the town health officer.
Good.
Oh, she's gonna be the town health officer now?
Well,
Flo, thank you.
No,
we,
there's been an ad that I've seen looking for a volunteer.
yeah, so I was talking to,
You can apply for it.
So can Joe, so
I
can
talked to
you,
Rachel.
so could Vince.
and I believe Rachel talked to you and then put it out on Front Porch Forum. I think I have 2 people that might be interested
Okay.
and probably like to talk more about it.
Wait, what is this for?
The town health officer.
Oh,
The only one that hasn't is.
Who hasn't signed this?
my grandmother used to do that and I was living with her and I got a call in the middle of the night that somebody needed it. And I'm like, what are you supposed to do? My grandmother couldn't do it anymore. I had no idea what to do.
Are we gonna adjourn or have we, and I didn't hear it.
Didn't hear it. If there's nothing else, entertain a motion. To adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Nice.
Aye.
Good night.